Welcome to the AI Automations for Business podcast. We're your hosts, Katie and Noel, and we'll be discussing how you can use AI for your business along with the latest news, updates, and automations to help you stay ahead of the curve, allowing you to grow and scale your business more efficiently. Please be sure to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, welcome back to another episode. Today, I'm really excited about this one because we're talking all about AI and AI replacing our jobs, or is it? So as always, I'm Katie and I've got Noel here with me.
Hello.
And we have a special guest today. We're joined by Liam Ray. Hi, Liam.
Hi, Katie. Hi, Noel. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Sure.
Liam, do you want to introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about your experience in, why you're the person to speak to about this?
Yeah, sure. No worries. So I'm the co-founder of a company called RayTen. We focus on helping SMEs implement AI and automation into their businesses, typically in the world of sales related areas to help them improve. And the reason for that is because I've come from a sales background. It feels like many, many moons ago. I was a recruiter myself, done that for about eight years or so, stepped away and done a couple of other different businesses, all sales related, and then actually come back to a friend's business a couple of years ago from a consultancy as I was going on this journey into the world of AI and automation, and actually took their business from having no CRM, no software, working off a spreadsheet to having automations and AI implemented in their business when I left. So kind of taking a business right away from nothing to having something. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. So there's been lots of, doom and gloom in the media as always, people don't like change. So I kind of did like a little bit of Googling and just to see what was really being said about AI taking people's jobs. So the BBC reported in 2023 that AI could replace the equivalent of 300 million full-time jobs. And that actually came from a report by the investment bank Goldman Sachs. And then 28% of 1,500 full-time employees of US companies, they were surveyed in 2024 by Grant Thornton, expressed concerns about the possibility of their job being reduced or replaced because of AI. So I don't think these headlines, do AI any justice, and it does make people scared. I mean, the three of us weren't really around in the sense of, in the 90s when the last big thing to happen like this was the internet, the invention of the internet.
Yeah, 100%. And also you go before that and everyone said the same about horse and cart and carts. Yeah. So if you want to go right the way back, will it replace jobs? It will replace elements of a job, 100%. That will be the case. But so has software for the last 15 years, as we've seen a spike in SaaS and businesses adopt multiple software services and take on multiple subscriptions. That's all about driving efficiency. It's all about increasing their velocity and quality. So there's always been an element of a threat, and that AI does bring that. But also we have to look at it from the other lens as well. And it's like, what does it then create? Yeah. So it's actually going to be creating a lot more opportunity, I believe, that will create new jobs that none of us have probably even thought of yet. So if we fast forward 10 years, what do they look like? Exactly,
because like 20 years ago, did anyone think that you could have a job that paid you incredible amount of money and you were called a content creator or, a YouTuber?
Yes, it's crazy.
Madness.
It is crazy. I've got two young kids, and if I go back to me being their age, I wanted to be a footballer. Now their age want to be a YouTuber. Yeah. And it's scary. I mean, you sit there and go, what is a YouTuber? Define that. It's just it's a headline. It's I want to be a YouTuber. They don't have a niche. What are they talking about? But yeah, I really feel that AI it's got to have guardrails, 100%. We've got to be careful with it, 1,000,000%. But it will create so many opportunities. It will improve efficiency, like unfold.
Yeah, apparently it's estimated by McKinsey Global Institute that by 2030, AI could contribute to the creation of 20 to 50 million new jobs globally.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
Doesn't surprise me.
And we don't
like
even know what half of them are going to be yet.
No, that's exactly what I was about to say. We have no idea what those roles will even look like. Because if you'd said to me 5 years ago that I'd be doing the job that I'm doing now, I would have said, I'm not really sure, because I'm not from a technology background. I've always been a sales-led individual that thinks in systems, that loves tech. So it's kind of like I've now found myself in a world that actually AI enables me to do that. AI and automation enables me to do that. And that's effectively coming from no code. And I would never have said 5 years ago that was even feasible. So It's quite crazy.
I guess a lot of the jobs are all going to be prompt engineers as well. You're going to need people that can interact with these models efficiently. And companies are going to need people that understand that properly to get the maximum out of all the tools that they use, whether it be images, video. You've got to have your own video prompts or text prompts. That's going to be a big job.
Yeah, it'd almost be like a prompt agency. You could almost imagine being the case, so that if you had a requirement, you go to them and they help you fulfill that. What
Liam,
was a graphic designer?
Don't give Noel any more ideas for new business.
I've got an automation for that.
As soon as you said that, Liam, I just saw like the light bulb above Noel's head, and he was like,
The problem is he now goes into the rabbit hole later trying to build it. So
yeah,
I won't see Noel now for a couple of days because he'll just be working out how to do it.
Yeah, he's hibernating.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll just come down for something to eat and then sneak back off. But back to his office.
It's interesting though you say that. I also think there's going to be a major part as well now where the human interaction has become even more important, because that we've all seen it. You can see the social media posts when someone's writing with ChatGPT now. You can see right away through it. I can't remember what they're calling it. Is it the M dash at the moment? That's quite that they're all talking about. You can see that obviously AI has written that predominantly ChatGPT. But I feel that AI will enable people to they'll want and need that human interaction even more, and actually they value it. So we all see that AI is being adopted a hell of a lot in roles like customer service, but there's still going to be, and I believe in the model of the 24/7, where if I want to, I love the idea of I can pick up the phone and call someone at 3 a.m. if I have insomnia and book an appointment. That's great, that's cool, and speak to AI. But sometimes when I have a real problem, I want to be able to speak to a person. And that's where I think AI will enable to pick up. I always think of it in that 80-20 split. We'll take 80% of that workload that is pretty repeatable, and then allow that 20% to have that human interaction and almost like that special cases, and actually have that personal touch.
Did you see the recent release by Google yesterday? They did their Cloud Next, and they've got a new customer support voice agent. So you can call it up, and then if you're like a really angry customer because you haven't got a refund or whatever, that agent understands it and it adapts its tone, kind of thing, and it adapts how it speaks to you to like calm you down, diffuse the situation, and very. Whereas like a human, you'd be like, I'm having a bad day, and you've got someone shouting at you, and you just be like, I can't be bothered with this. But you don't give that right service.
No, but that's clever, because let's be honest, we've all been in a position as well when we've been the customer and you are angry. And half the time you just want to vent and be heard. So actually, it's not nice for someone to have to listen to it, right? But realistically, half the time you go, I just need to get off my chest. Maybe this will allow these people to vent, and then someone can come in behind and solve the problem afterwards. So,
yeah. It's the equivalent, really, isn't it, of like a friend calling you up and they're just having a rant and a moan, and you just think, I'll just put like the phone to the side and carry on with what I was doing, and then just like pick it up every now and again to see if they're still going. Oh yeah, they're still going. Right. Okay. It's kind of like the customer service equivalent to that, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. You just need the AI to drop in a few, even that, just a few. Yeah, I understand. And just let them keep going.
Yeah. It's like, we understand. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So I feel like there's going to be, it's quite scary in an exciting way, I think. I don't buy into that iRobot scenario of suddenly everyone is going to be everyone's worried about AI in that same vein, because like you touched on, Katie, I remember Millennium, and I was just turned a teenager, and people worried about the whole world was going to crash and every system was going to go down, and I remember vividly actually New Year's Eve at Millennium, and I was in Greenwich in London, and it was because family had a shop there, so we kind of went and was above the shop for the party as kids. So we'd run outside and was playing and stuff. And I remember sitting there thinking, I wonder what happens. Does all the lights turn off? Like, is it just going to, like, the world just shut down? And it didn't. It just carried on.
Yeah, because it was called the millennial bug, wasn't it?
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah, oh, I remember it so well. I mean, I'm a bit older. I think I was about 16 at the time. So I can remember. And I can remember as well, like, some of my friends' parents had to go into the office on New Year's Eve evening in case there were any, like, crashes, or the whole systems went down. So, a lot of them were paid a lot of money to basically go in and sit and watch, the date tick over and then be like, right, nothing's happened. I'm just going to go home.
And if it did, they'd have probably just turned it off and turned it back on again. It would have been fine.
This is true. So, it's the unknown. People don't like the unknown. A lot of people don't like change. But I feel like with AI and AI automations, I think it is critical to this continuous learning and, emerging the roles, or, just kind of tweaking what we are doing. And if anyone's out there and thinking, okay, maybe I need to start adapting AI, or they, be like, oh, okay, I need, to be efficient in AI, have it on their CV, or, even if they're a business owner, what would you say, Liam and Noel? I feel like I'm talking to Oasis now, Liam and Noel.
Oh, yeah. We hadn't thought of that, had we?
No.
Before. I should have worn my Parker jacket.
Have you got your guitars? Are you going to sing a song at the end?
This is my excuse for being the moody one. Liam's more moody than Noel. Just remember that.
True. I forgot what I was going to say. So Liam and Noel, if people are thinking, okay, right, I actually need to get on board with AI or have some AI experience that I can add to my CV or within my business, what would you say is a good way to, like, come into AI and AI automations?
I think a good place to start, if you're looking down the automation route, is like, obviously, my old faithful, my favourite, make.com.
Okay, so just the usual disclaimer, this podcast is not sponsored by make.com. Noel just absolutely loves it.
It's so good. But they've got loads of free training. So you can go all the way from, like, the basics to, like, super advanced in, like, probably a couple of days, I reckon. You could go through all of that training. So that's always a good place to start. Yeah. Getting into AI, you start talking to ChatGPT and working on prompt engineering.
Yeah, I'd second that. That's actually how I found my way into it. It was obviously ChatGPT got released. It was like, this is cool. Play around with it, and you play around a little bit more, and you say, like, okay. And I then fell in the rabbit hole naturally of, like, what was on socials and those people in that space. I went down the route of then looking at .com and done the training with them, so done the modules and then started to understand it. But for me, it's kind of like you have to almost, like, reprogram, I think, how you use the internet a little bit with AI, in a sense of, certainly still a little bit early adopters, they use AI models like they use Google, and actually it's trying to then tell them, no, that treat it like it's a person. And my best way of, when I explain it to my mum, I tell her, I say, imagine you've got the world's cleverest 8-year-old that's just graduated from Harvard, right? But they're still 8, right? And that's how you need to talk to AI as you start. So you need to be really super clear with what your objective is and what you're trying to achieve, but you also know that it has all the information it would ever require. So actually the responsibility is on you to ensure that your instruction's clear, and it doesn't need to be also trying to do like a home run. You can actually just have a conversation. And then when you start to then understand it and not treat it like a single search bar, because let's be honest, Google And we're not sponsored by Google, I'm assuming.
Unfortunately not.
No, yeah, next week.
If Google wants to sponsor us, then we are open to that.
But when you think about it, it wasn't linear. It was a one hit. You put it in the search bar and returns an entry, and all right, you go down your own rabbit hole, or you search again. And all right, it did learn what you were searching and things like that, but it wasn't. It was very much one at a time, and that was it. It was done. Whereas obviously when you're communicating with AI models, it's very different. You're actually having a conversation with a model that you can have and actually start to build that out. So that's the advice I always say to like the total novice when they're looking at it, just to reframe how they approach it.
And I feel like that is such a great way to describe exactly how to use it. Yeah, perfect.
Definitely, yeah. Another way that I also look at it as well is if you're like trying to give it specific instructions to give you a certain output, is I always talk to it as if I'm giving that job to somebody on Fiverr.
Yeah.
So, I've got to be super clear with what my end goals and objectives are, and then it gives me exactly what I want instead of a wishy-washy prompt that's like, I kind of want this, I kind of want that. We've got to be specific as if you're paying for it.
Yeah, that's really good. I use, a few people that listen to your podcast use Loom a lot, and obviously Loom gives you a transcript. So a little one I always do is take the transcript from Loom where I'm describing what I want, and then say, now write me the email that is the cover letter to this transcript. So to me, it's kind of like you reverse engineer it. So it's actually then. And I always say it's the cover email, so it doesn't need to be the transcript. But here you go. Now you know what the content of what is going to be this handover document is going to be, for example. So when you're talking about Fiverr, that's the mindset of handing a task over.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. That's a great little tip as well. Thanks, Leo.
No worries.
Okay, so we talked about prompt engineering is a great way to get started, as well as make Noel's favourite, make.com. What do you think is important for business owners? So, whether it's solopreneurs or whether it is SMEs or, bigger multinational companies, like where do you think is the place for them maybe to start with adopting AI automations into their businesses?
From my conversations that I have with multiple different businesses, I tend to find that a lot of businesses don't have their SOPs right. So it's very, very hard to go and build automation or replace people with AI because there's no logic behind what you're trying to achieve. You actually there is no map, there is no train track of how to get to the objective. So actually for me, it's kind of like, this is where I have I think in systems anyway. I know that I've learned that about myself over the last kind of like 5-10 years, which why I think this plays into my world and my wheelhouse and I enjoy it so much. But I really feel that this move will make businesses operate better because they do need to get actually ready at the front end. It's almost like if you're going to go and cook, go get all your ingredients ready. You go shopping first, right? You see, you have your shopping list, and then you have your ingredients, and then you understand when things need to be done at what time. And I see that very much being the same. Whereas I might cook the same recipe as either of you two, but it might taste slightly different because we have a different tweak on it as we work our way through it. And that's just my adaptation of it, and yours vice versa. But realistically, I think if businesses want to look to adopt AI automation and what have you, they really need to understand what the end goal is and how to get there. Because for too many businesses at the moment, it's certainly the SME world is that owner-operator reliant, that they become the biggest asset and the biggest bottleneck in their own business.
Yeah.
We see that a hell of a lot. And when you talk to them, it's like, where's this, where's that? And it's all in here, which is fantastic for them. But actually, we need to get that out and allow them to take the pressure off. And that's where I feel a lot of people, if they got the systems or certainly things down on paper, they would be in a lot stronger position to then go and build out AI and automation to replace certain parts of that. Not all of it, but they can certainly help streamline what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, great answer. Yeah, I love that. It's all about those SOPs. So,
everyone hates them though, don't they? They hate them. But when you say it, they're like,
It's just like not a very exciting part of business, is it? But it is a really important part of business. And like you totally like like hit the nail on the head, because you're saying like, and I've worked with businesses, you know, when I'm helping them with marketing, it's all in someone's head, and it's not down on paper for, anywhere for anyone else to see or experience it. And I find it's making them so unproductive, and then they're hiring more and more and more people. But actually, if you just got a bit organized, you wouldn't need to hire as many people as you really do need to hire. But because, you haven't got those SOPs in place. But
the vicious circle, which is SOPs as well, but even you touch on hiring, is when I talk to business owners and like, I need to hire, but I'm so busy, I haven't got time to hire.
Yeah.
So they're now in this vicious circle. They're going, I'm really busy, so I need to hire people, but I now don't have time to actually invest in the recruitment process, which then means that they might cut corners or whatever it might be. Then you end up with a bad hire potentially, and a bad hire, by the way, is two ways. That's not a bad person.
No.
It's very much, sometimes it is it a culture fit? And that's not a bad thing if it's not, because we're all different. So it's about finding the right place for you to thrive. But I'm a real firm believer that if you want anyone to be successful in your organization, the buck stops with you. So I look at it and go, right, have you done everything you can to enable that person to be successful? And that person could even eventually become an AI agent of certain tasks, but do they know what their job is? Or are they trying to build the bridge as they're crossing it themselves? And if they are, it's kind of your responsibility a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good shout. Very good shout. So something that has been kind of floating around, especially I think with the online like business community that like I've been hearing, and I think Noel, you've been hearing this as well, is like, I'm using ChatGPT and people think they don't need to know any more about AI or even like AI automation.
Yeah. Craziness.
What would both of you say if someone was saying that to you? Because like even me, who, I've not been in the AI world for, as long as you two, I'm still new to it, but even I understand that ChatGPT is not everything to do with AI. There's so much more you can do with it and things like that. So yeah, I'd really like to hear what you two have got to say about that remark.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because it's like, it's great that you're using it. You're already adopted in some form of AI, but at the same time, you're still asking questions. You're probably getting a different response versus what somebody else in the business is using it for. So it's not consistent. So yeah, it's a stepping stone, I would say. But with automations and things like, you can make things so much easier that you'll never need to copy paste anything again. Where you're putting something, you get some out of ChatGPT and they go, right, now I'm going to copy that and then put that in an email. We can get rid of all of that with automation and things like that. So yeah.
But to take your point a bit further and what you've touched on there now is, and actually back into your world, Katie, is like, there's layers to it. If you're taking an off-the-shelf, logging into ChatGPT, and you might even be on a free version, and you're giving it a single line or a paragraph prompt, and assuming that you're going to get the output that you want, is going to be very difficult, because that is effectively saying any one of however many billion people on the planet could have literally put largely the same thing in. Where I think that there's actually the layers to this, and where the AI and automation together, and certainly with marketing, can be in unison, and you can be clever with this, is where you can build your tone of voice as a brand. So you sit and say, right, okay, as a business, this is our core principles, these are our values, these are our pillars, this is how we operate, and this is why we're all part of this, because we have a shared common goal. But then if all three of us are sitting in the same room and the same business, Katie, you'll write an email very differently to me and very differently to Noel. Now we have the same core values and the same principle and the same objective as we're trying to achieve as a business, as a collective. But that's the way I speak is very different. I'm not Bristolian. So there's certain quirks that I would not get away with that Noel certainly does. So that's where it's about building the layers within that, where too often, and I get it because it's an entry point, but people when entering AI and they're seeing it as like a single shot prompt, expecting world peace at the end of it, and they can then go and rule their market. But actually, if you want to be able to do that, you've got to put the work in early, build those tone of voice, build those brand values, and then actually, like Noel says, you could potentially never write an email again.
Yeah.
But if you use single shot every time, you have to write this killer prompt every single time because it doesn't have a basis to work from.
Yeah. And for me, like, that's what I see so much of online, and for like the online service providers, like, you know, steal my killer prompt to do X, Y, and Z. And like, part of me is screaming inside because I'm like, that works for them, that business who created it, and that's not going to work for me. Or it's like download like 200 killer hooks for emails, and it's just like, that's great, and it's like a really great like freebie and, you know, download, but actually that person's business could be very different to mine in terms of, you know, core pillars and tone of voice.
But then that's why, if you had the infrastructure right, is what you could actually do is take that free download and actually tell your large language model that actually, I've got this download. I appreciate it doesn't totally relate to our business. I want you to review these 200 killer hooks, and I want you to rewrite them that matches our brand. And then actually your output of your 200 are relevant to your business. But you've taken a template that works elsewhere. Because let's be honest, everywhere you look, there's plagiarism. Art is plagiarism. So we're all taking something and then putting our own slant and our own twist on it. So there's nothing wrong with taking those 200 killer hooks and saying, right, brilliant, they're great. But I don't have an ecom brand. They might be ecom related for a nutrition product. That's not me. We'd do something very differently. But there's some learnings in there that would really still relate to my business. So if I gave the right information, I would then get a far better output that suits my business.
Yeah. It's that added extra bit that a lot of people still aren't aware of yet.
Yeah, it is really required. And it goes back to that point I said, you almost need to hire when you're too busy. And this is the point. It's like if you then go, I want those 20 killer hooks now, but I can't bother to do that bit before. I don't want to do our brand guidelines, but if you do it once, honestly, it bears fruit.
Yeah.
It's very similar though, Liam, to people that I talk to in the marketing, you know, when it comes to marketing, they're like, I'm too busy to market my business. But it's just like, well, kind of like, you know, get things sorted out and in place before you had got so busy where you can't now even, you know, have the brain space to do that. You know, it would be like this nice, really like, you know, flow, and, you know, it would be this lovely ecosystem all working for you.
And it is like with that, because you're spot on, that it's and Noel no doubt testified to this, is that it's so rewarding though when you deliver something for a client when they've said, oh, I'm really busy. And at times they're a real pain in the backside to get them over the line, because you might jump on a call with them and you know that they're over there while you're trying to get something done, because they are busy, and I get it, we're all busy.
Yeah.
But then when you deliver something from them and save them 45, 50 minutes a day, and they go, oh, wow, I can breathe. And not only that, it's the other side I see with it is it's JP, my business partner, talks about this a lot. He talks about velocity. But so velocity is a real point that's going to be driven by AI and automation. Quality is another major point, because you've got that consistency. And I have a real, without being too corny, I have a real firm belief that the definition of greatness is being consistently good. And if you turn up every day and you're a 7 or 8 out of 10 every single day, you'll be regarded as great. Look at anyone from any industry, that's certainly sports people, the ones that everyone regards are the ones that never put in a bad performance. And it's like, okay, if I can stay a 7 out of 10 every time, I'm going to be regarded as a great in my industry. And that's what I think AI and automation will allow you. But what I think it also does, and this is the bit that I love the idea of it being able to do, and probably a bit more of a driver for me, is it takes the pressure off of those business owners. We've all done it when something's sitting on that to-do list, and Monday's to-do list has gone on to Tuesdays, gone on to Wednesdays, and Thursday night it's still not done, and you're sitting there going, oh, and you're tired, you're stressed, and it still doesn't get done. And actually all it's done is it's played on your mind all week. Whereas I love the idea of going, actually, I want to remove those stresses. I want that 2.5 hour task to suddenly become a 20-minute review. So it might be creating a detailed proposal for a client. And we've all been there going, I really need to do it. I need to get out the door, but I've got to start from scratch and I've got to do this. And imagine sitting there going, actually, sitting in my inbox as a draft and I've got to review it. You suddenly, when you know it's a 20-minute task, you can find time a lot easier.
Yeah.
I'm speaking about myself here because I know I'm awful at that.
No, I'm the same. Whenever I've got a really big task, like you say, it will go from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday. And actually, even if I, broke it down into smaller bits, it wouldn't seem so overwhelming. But if I broke it down into smaller bits and know, right, I've got to do that and that, but I've already got a system in place, which makes it so much easier and quicker and sleek, then it's just like, that's probably going to get done on Monday instead of at the end of the week.
Yeah, exactly. And none of that stress is on your head all week, which is nice.
Yeah, really nice. Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Is anyone got anything else that they feel like they're desperate to get off their chest about this subject, or do you feel like we've covered it?
I think we've covered it. I think, and I think we've covered a lot of really interesting topics there. There's a lot for people to learn that's coming into this space.
Yeah,
I'd say getting on prompt engineering now and start working with AI and getting those consistent outputs. And then you can then employ that then into automations and then make sure that everything is consistent and works first time every time. Because that's what we always want from an automation.
Yeah. That's the utopia. It's very difficult to get there, as Noel's seen with some of the work that I've done before. So he's seen a few error emails come through. No, but help. Look, for me, I think I would not get, if I was talking to anyone, I'd say I wouldn't get bogged down in the detail in the sense of trying to become an expert in AI. Just have a play with it, have a look at it, and like I say, have a conversation with it. It will start to open your own mind up about its possibilities and what it can do. And if you have good examples and you have a clear objective of what you're looking to get out of it, it will get pretty darn close and then allow you to then pick it up. But one thing I sit a little bit different, where I don't think AI isn't the answer for everything. And I also don't think that AI should be always the 100% of the job. I love the idea of going back to, I mentioned earlier, that 80-20. Imagine if I could take 80% of the workload away and let you do the 20%, which is the quality, the fine check, make sure you're happy, move it forward. And that's where also, I think if you had that from a mindset, and going back to what we talked about with jobs, I think people would probably feel a little bit more open to adopting it, as opposed to they feel like it's just going to be replaced. Because naturally, as people, certainly I've seen it a lot in the corporate world, people build moats to protect themselves, that their job stays safe. So there's a lot that they try and keep there. If you can show that actually you're still valued, you've got 35 years in the industry, that your relationships are super important. But what we want to do is save you sitting on your sofa at 9 o'clock reading and writing emails. Let's take those parts away and help you with it. That's where I think AI is going to have a real impact.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of adapting and kind of going with the flow of it rather than kind of resisting it. And then I feel like then, you're kind of getting left behind a bit. But I think if you're open to it, and like you're saying, Liam, it's not going to, replace you, but it's just going to help you, help your clients or your business, then I think that's the perfect way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Liam, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I'll make sure that we put all of your links so people can come and find you in the show notes. Awesome. And thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time for another episode very soon.